It's Saturday evening. It's time to talk about the very best comic books you could buy this week. And with me, as always, is Drew from Comics Lead. How you doing, Drew?
Doing great, Wes. Just doing some writing and editing and rewrites and some stuff right now. But I always make time to talk about the best comics of the week. So let's talk about those, including a rather interesting one.
But we do need to talk about this absolute ripoff from DC Comics with the Wonder Woman Trinity Special #1. They charged $6 for this comic book. This is a character that did not debut in the comic book industry until June of 2023. So within the last 7 months, every appearance in the history of the world for Trinity has happened at DC Comics under Tom King. So if you're a Tom King Wonder Woman fan and you're a Trinity fan, you've actually already read all this stuff because it's all the backups that have been in Wonder Woman under Tom King, as well as her appearance in Wonder Woman 800, and they charged $6 for this for like 10 new pages of stuff. I hate this tactic. They did the same thing with Tim Drake Robin Pride Special.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Honestly, if I were selling this, there's no way I could sell this. I would be telling people, look, if you already bought these books, you don't need to buy this. You already have it. There's no reason to have this. And honestly, look, Tom King has his fans. I'm not a fan of this stuff. It feels like someone trying to be Peter Tomasi. No one can be Peter Tomasi with these characters. Peter Tomasi writes these characters better than anyone else. He knows these characters inside and out. And Tom King, unfortunately, can't, and he doesn't. But like I said, Tom King has his fans. If you're a Tom King fan, I'm sure you already have it, but I would have tried to talk you out of buying this because you already got this. There's no reason to buy this.
There is like 10, perhaps 12 pages. I don't think it's even 12 pages of new content from Tom King and Daniel Sampere in here. This like mothers and daughters, really short story that is essentially meaningless. It's got Trinity doing like the test of bullets or whatever. And it's bouncing between Hippolyta doing it with Diana when she was a girl and Diana doing it with her daughter. You know, and Diana pointing a gun at her daughter seems weird to me, but whatever. The thing that happens after that is actually so much worse. Diana doesn't want to shoot her daughter because who would want to kill her own daughter, even though she is an Amazonian and will be able to block all the bullets or dodge them or whatever. So the daughter goes up and punches her mom in the face, which apparently is exactly what Diana Prince did when she was the same age. And if you're just trying to point out how this character is a carbon copy and exactly like her mother, then what was the point of the character to begin with?
This is an example of Tom King has a story to tell, but unfortunately, he's chosen the wrong characters to tell this story. This is something Wonder Woman would never, ever, ever, ever do to her mother, her family, her lineage. This would never happen. For Tom King's, I guess his mom, his sister, or whatever he wants to write, yeah, sure, probably, but never Wonder Woman. This is completely out of character. Especially for Wonder Woman's daughter. You mean to tell me Wonder Woman's daughter would have no respect for her mother at all and punch her directly right in the face? No, this is bullshit. It is a very almost borderline nihilistic way of thinking when it comes to parents and kids, and it's BS. There's nothing believable about it. I mean, granted, you have to have this is a suspension of reality when reading, suspension of disbelief when reading comic books. But this goes too far with these characters because you know these characters who have been around for 60, 70 years, what they would do and what they wouldn't do. This is something that would never happen. Never, ever.
Yeah, and they charged you $6 essentially for 10 or 12 pages of new content.
Yeah, not even 10 pages. I think it's 8. And then it cuts back to that island, the island story crap that we got back in the very first DC Trinity, which I think was in Dark Crisis.
Wonder Woman 800.
Wonder Woman 800. It's like, okay, what the hell was the point of this damn comic? Tom King thinks Wonder Woman and her daughter are insufferable bitches.
Well, the point was to rip people off for $6 for stuff that they've already read within the last 5 or 6 months. Absolute insanity. This is why comic books are struggling right now. Unfortunately, there aren't enough good comic books to overcome a lot of this stuff. But there are some things that we need to talk about this week, Drew. Starting off with the big hit of the week, Duke #2, Josh Williamson, Tom Riley, Skybound, Energon Universe, Image Comics, hot as hell. We got to see Duke interacting with Clutch, his brother in this particular universe. We got to finally see the first appearances of Rock and Roll as well as Stalker. So that was absolutely awesome. We got to see the Baroness in this bad boy. There's hints of Snake Eyes. Oh, and the story itself is absolutely badass.
It's like a darker, different twist on the G.I. Joe that we're getting here. And I really dig it. I really dig what they're setting up here. And all these characters are so flippin' unique. And Duke's brother in this, dude, you want to talk about a total Chad? It is him. I love this guy up and down. And just the minute like, he's talking, he has his lady friend there. He's like, I forget her name. I forget what her name is. I love that stuff. It's hysterical. And the fights in this are ecstatic. They're exciting. The art's beautiful. Despero, he's only in this for one panel, but he looks so menacing in that one panel. How they set up, not the raft. It's where the Joes have their base.
The pit?
Yeah, the pit. Yeah, how they set up the pit in this, what it's being used for now. I love it. The use of colors in this is so cool too. Like I'm detecting a glimmer of like red, white, and blue in the color schemes in this. Because there's a lot of reds, there's a lot of blues, some whites. I don't know if he's trying to set the moods with the colors, which he probably is, but I'm detecting a color scheme here going on with this and the colors. But I love it. I love seeing the Baroness in this. She's looking hot. I can't wait for the next issue. This is a kick-ass G.I. Joe comic. Yeah,
Energon Universe is definitely the hottest thing going on in comic books in the early parts of 2024. And shows no signs of slowing down. Even the Real American Hero stuff is absolutely badass. Unfortunately, that's the only indie comic book that we're going to recommend this week. We do have 3 Marvel books, thankfully. First up, Incredible Hulk #8, Phil Kennedy Johnson, Nick Klein on art. We get some really cool stuff into how this monster that was able to overcome and take over Incredible Hulk in the last page of the previous issue is also coming after Bruce Banner, which I thought was really well set up. Nick Klein does a great job of differentiating those scenes from the scenes that are happening in the real world. And we end up having, I guess, this old school version of Ghost Rider slapping the demon out of Hulk, and then those two teaming up to take it down because this thing's enormous. And the highlight of the book is when Hulk puts the Ghost Rider chain around his head and then punches a hole right through his mouth, out through the back of his head, and then chokes him to death with it. It was cool.
I love it. This is just an absolute, a badass monster comic. This is something we would have seen from Marvel or DC, Marvel probably back in the 80s, 90s, probably in the 90s. We would have seen something like this. And I dig it. I love Nick Klein. I love monsters. His art in this is just simply beautiful. And the Ghost Rider in this, I love this concept of like this World War II Ghost Rider and this old motorcycle. It's awesome. And the big demon trying to suck out the Hulk from Bruce Banner. I love it. This is monsters done right in the big two. And I really, truly hope that this can stay the course, because we saw Ghost Rider fall off. Ghost Rider was up there, but then it fell off a cliff pretty slowly, but it's gone now. But this, I really, truly hope we get to see Hulk stay on this course, because this is arguably Marvel's best comic ongoing series right now. And if you're not reading Incredible Hulk, you do need to jump on board on this, because it is so much fun.
I think it's inarguable. I think it's easily the best ongoing series, and huge recommend for that one. We're also going to recommend the finale of Spine-Tingling Spider-Man, issue #4, Saadin Ahmed, Juan Ferreira. Probably the best thing Saadin Ahmed has done since he did that Black Bolt comic book that really got him on the map. The Juan Ferreira art is really the headliner here and really sells the book itself. I was a little surprised by the ending, because it is very kind of clear cut. It actually happens in the real world. I'm honestly surprised that this story that they tell here didn't happen in Amazing Spider-Man, because you absolutely could have told it, and it would have set up a lot of really, really cool stuff in the future, because we get a moment here with Spider-Man. He finds out it's the Jackal. The Jackal is not defending himself, is not putting up a fight, not even attacking Spider-Man, and Spider-Man, Peter Parker, actually just punches him almost to death right there, which is very un-Peter Parker-like. It was kind of jarring.
Yeah, but then we really see Peter almost control himself. He remembers. He brings himself back. He remembers who he is, and he may or may not stop. And I like that. I like that aspect of Peter. That's who he is. And but yeah, this story is just amazing. The art, Juan Ferreira's art, is just absolutely beautiful. And you're 100% correct. This should have been in Amazing Spider-Man. If this was in Amazing Spider-Man right now, Wes, you and I would be saying, Amazing Spider-Man, this is the best Amazing Spider-Man has been in a long, long time, since probably before Nick Spencer. They got to keep this going. But yeah, if you're a Spider-Man fan and you're not reading this, what is wrong with you? You do need to check this out. If you're a true Spider-Man fan, I guarantee you will enjoy this, because hey, I'm not a Spider-Man fan and I really enjoy this. And by the end of this, it's not really, I mean, it says the end, but we're kind of given like a little glimmer, a gleam, a hint, a reflection, if you will, Is it really the end? We don't know. We'll find out. If this is successful enough, we may get a sequel. We'll find out. But yeah, I really do truly recommend everyone do check this out. This is a terrific Spider-Man story. And yeah, Saladin Ahmed, I can't believe this. He did it 4 for 4 without getting any political crap into it. He told a solid, fun, terrific horror story here.
And a tip of the cap to whoever the cover artist is. I don't remember who it was, but they got this really cool cage that's basically made out of the like uniform of Spider-Man, and his entire family's trapped inside of it. Really effective stuff. Looked really, really cool.
That was Juan Ferreira as well. That was Juan.
Was it Juan? Because it looked a little different than his pencils. That's awesome. The last comic book from Marvel that we're going to recommend, Wolverine 42, Ben Percy, Victor Laval writing, Corey Smith on art. I actually have a full review with Doc coming up in 2 days on the channel, so I don't want to get too into the weeds on this one. This is the second part of the Sabretooth War story, and it's kind of living up to the bill as being like the bloodiest or most violent Wolverine story ever told, at least in this issue. It is balls to the wall, pillar to post, blood and gore and action in this book.
Yeah, it's getting close to the bloodiest Wolverine story ever. I mean, I think, in my opinion, the bloodiest one was the I think it was Charlie Houston, and Juan Jose Reap story that they did about 15 years ago. That was probably the bloodiest place and the nastiest. But yeah, there is a lot of blood and guts in this, and it was much more than I expected, and I love it. I am very legitimately shocked because we've been promised these things, but no one ever lives up to it. And I love the use of Omega Red's vibranium chains that he's got and what they're used on Wolverine, and what Wolverine has to do to get out of that. I dig it. I love it. But although, I mean, so we had a discussion last night about the physics of this with Wolverine trying to escape. And did he cut through his adamantium bones? Wouldn't there be adamantium? How is he walking on stumps back into the
Doc and I talked about this in the review, but they mentioned in the internal monologue that his tendons and his like joints aren't adamantium. So apparently he went through the cartilage and the tendons, which were the weak points.
So between the bones.
Yes.
Got it, between the bones. Cool. All right, so that makes much more sense. But yeah, it's just trying to picture him walking on stumps, whatever that is. He's getting back into the facility. It's got a very Garth Ennis feel to it, and I dig it. It's pretty funny. But yeah, it's bloody, it's nasty, and I'm hoping that we see what's her face X-23 in that box in the next issue. Because if it's X-23 in there, this is probably going to go down as the best Wolverine story ever, because she's had it coming for a long time.
That could very well be the case. And yeah, I'm surprised this thing's going to go on for like 10 issues. It's probably far too long. But for right here, right now, Sabretooth War is absolutely living up to it. We have a DC comic book to recommend, Batman Offworld #3, Jason Aaron, Doug Mahnke. I'm absolutely floored that Jason Aaron still has a comic book that's absolutely amazing 3 issues in. If we get to see, I guess Batman went all alpha on this metallic organic wolf thing that was on this planet and becomes its master. And he's like recruited this thing to help him, but he's creating a new Batman suit out of alien technology. It's all lots of fun. And then Ion has fallen in love with him. And in the most, I don't know, real world, realistic take ever, he's like, give me 5 more minutes. And she's like, you're dead to me. I don't ever want to speak to you again.
Yeah, but it's honestly, in my opinion, I like her and I don't like the female character, because there's aspects of her I do appreciate and like. There's aspects of her I'm like, God, she's just an absolute bitch. Just nothing, not likable at all.
She's hot.
Yeah, she is hot. Absolutely, 100%. We got to talk about Doug Mahnke here. This guy's been in the business now for 40 years. His art is still stunning, beautiful, amazing, bloody, action-packed. This is a guy who is not getting enough work and should be getting a hell of a lot more work than he is right now. He should be on the main Batman series right now. This cover alone, holy crap, with Batman riding this metallic steed, it's the stuff of nightmares. It's stuff of badassery out of Frazetta. And we really need to really truly be thanking Doug Mahnke as well for his art in this, because I really don't think this story would be as successful if it was anyone else on the art. But yeah, Jason Aaron, 3 for 3. He's sticking with it. He's telling it just a kick-ass Batman story. And I can't wait to see what happens next. From what I understand, there's a little delay in the upcoming issues. I can't wait for the issue 4. This is going to be a lot of fun.
You know, for a 5th release week and, you know, lots of annuals from DC Comics, It could have been a lot worse than this. I thought there were some really good comic books this week.
Yes, there were. There's some really good comics this week, and I hope we steer you guys in the right direction with some of the quality reads you guys can look to expect to enjoy. But like last week, that was not a good week. That was a clear cut, one of the worst weeks we ever had. But yeah, there's some good stuff this week, guys. Go support your local comic book shops, guys.
And I do want to say, if you like this kind of talk, but you like lots more of it, we do have a 2-hour plus podcast on the Patreon. Not with Drew, unfortunately, because he does have a 9 to 5 Monday through Friday job. But it is with my good friend Jim from Weird Science, a professional podcaster, comic book reviewer. And we put it out every single Thursday, so you get the 411, the little heads up a little bit earlier on there. If you haven't checked out the Patreon, lots of stuff on there. There's a link in the video description.